The Exodus story, a cornerstone of religious and cultural narratives, primarily comes from the Hebrew Bible, where it chronicles the Israelites' escape from slavery in Egypt under the leadership of Moses. This story is foundational not only to Judaism, but also holds significant relevance within Christianity and Islam, symbolizing themes of liberation, faith, and divine intervention. The significance of the Exodus story lies in its metaphorical representation of freedom and its enduring role in shaping cultural and religious identities. It serves as a powerful narrative about struggle and resilience, mirroring historical and contemporary quests for justice and human rights. A real-world example can be seen in the civil rights movement in the United States. Leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. frequently reference the Exodus in speeches, using it as a source of inspiration and hope for African Americans fighting for equality. Another example is the Passover Seder, a Jewish ritual meal that recounts the Exodus story, emphasizing its importance in maintaining cultural heritage and identity through centuries. Opinions supporting the significance of the Exodus story highlight its profound impact on literature, art, and social movements. Many scholars argue that it provides not only religious grounding, but also a universal narrative applicable to various contexts of oppression and liberation. The story's emphasis on justice and moral responsibility continues to resonate with audiences globally, reinforcing its enduring appeal and relevance. However, the historicity of the Exodus story is a subject of much debate and controversy. Archaeological evidence confirming the events as described in the Bible is sparse, leading some historians to question its authenticity as a historical account. Others view it as a mythologized history containing valuable allegorical truths rather than factual precision. These alternative viewpoints suggest that while the Exodus story is pivotal within religious contexts, its literal interpretation remains contentious. The story connects to broader discussions about identity, morality, and cultural tradition, influencing laws, societal norms, and philosophical discourse. It enriches understandings of diaspora, communal memory, and spiritual journeys, which are crucial facets of the main topic. In unraveling the Exodus phenomenon, one must consider both its mythical elements and its implications for cultural narratives and collective human experience. The story's integration into various cultural and religious practices exemplifies its enduring impact and the complex role it plays in shaping and reflecting human values across generations. The exploration of the Exodus story from historical and archaeological perspectives involves examining evidence and theories related to the narrative of the Israelites' departure from Egypt, as described in the Hebrew Bible. This point is significant in unraveling the phenomena of the Exodus story because it attempts to bridge the gap between religious tradition and historical fact. Such perspectives seek to determine the extent to which the biblical account can be corroborated by physical evidence and historical records, which is crucial for understanding its cultural impact. Historically, the Exodus is a foundational event for the Jewish people, symbolizing liberation and divine intervention. Its interpretation influences religious thought, cultural identity, and ethical frameworks in Jewish tradition and beyond. Archaeological investigations and historical analyses enrich this narrative by providing context or challenging preconceived notions. One notable example is the work conducted in the Sinai Peninsula, where archaeologists have searched for remnants of the Israelites' supposed 40-year wandering. Despite extensive efforts, conclusive evidence directly supporting the biblical account remains elusive. Another example resides in the examination of Egyptian records from the New Kingdom period. There are scant references to events that might align with the Exodus, such as the expulsion of the Hyksos people, leading some to argue these accounts could be exaggerated or reinterpreted biblical tales. Historian and archaeologist opinions vary greatly. Some, like Israel Finkelstein, suggest that the story is more mythological, reflecting collective memories of various events and migrations rather than a singular historical occurrence. Others, like James K. Hoffmeyer, propose that while the biblical account may be exaggerated, it retains kernels of historical truth worth investigating. The exploration of these perspectives faces several challenges and controversies. Chief among them are the lack of definitive archaeological evidence and the inherent difficulties in verifying events described in ancient texts. Moreover, differing opinions on dating and interpretations of archaeological findings further complicate the narrative. This point connects to other aspects of the Exodus story by shaping discussions about its authenticity and impact. The historical and archaeological perspectives influence theological interpretations, cultural perceptions, and the meaning ascribed to the Exodus in various societal contexts. Understanding the evolution and debates surrounding these perspectives provides a nuanced comprehension of the story's role in cultural memory and identity formation. This, in turn, invites a broader dialogue on how ancient narratives continue to shape contemporary beliefs and values. Theological interpretations and religious significance of the Exodus story have profound implications in understanding the narrative's depth and its cultural impact. Theological interpretations refer to the varied ways in which religious scholars and practitioners understand and ascribe spiritual meaning to the events described in the Exodus. This narrative, chiefly found in the Hebrew Bible, recounts the liberation of the Israelites from Egyptian bondage, highlighting themes of divine intervention, freedom, and covenantal promises. The Exodus story holds immense significance as it lays the theological foundation for the Jewish faith, underscoring the idea of a chosen people guided by God. It also resonates within Christianity and Islam, where it symbolizes deliverance and divine justice. This narrative shapes religious identity, informing rituals such as Passover in Judaism, which commemorates the Israelites' escape from slavery with symbolic foods and storytelling, reinforcing community and faith. One real-world application of the Exodus story is its role in liberation theology, particularly in 20th-century Latin America. Here, the narrative serves as a metaphor for social and political emancipation, offering hope and a framework for fighting oppression. Additionally, the African American community has drawn parallels between the Israelites' journey and their own struggle for freedom. Most notably during the Civil Rights Movement, where leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. invoked the Exodus as a source of inspiration and a call for justice. While many view the Exodus narrative as a source of spiritual and moral guidance, it is not without controversy. Skeptics question the historicity of the events, citing a lack of archaeological evidence for a mass exodus from Egypt, leading to debates between historians, theologians, and archaeologists. Some argue the story is more mythic than historical, serving as a foundational narrative with allegorical lessons rather than a chronological account. The theological interpretations of Exodus intertwine with broader themes of power, identity, and justice within the cultural framework, influencing subsequent religious texts and teachings. They prompt reflections on the nature of divine intervention and human agency, affecting not only theological discourse but also ethical considerations on how societies address issues of injustice and liberation. Thus, the Exodus story, through its theological richness, reinforces its enduring cultural influence and its role in shaping the moral and spiritual consciousness across societies. The concept of cultural narratives and literary influences of the Exodus encompasses the way the Exodus story has been woven into the fabric of various cultures and how it has shaped literary traditions across history. This narrative is not just a religious tale, but a foundational myth that has been adapted, interpreted, and integrated into the cultural frameworks of numerous societies. The significance of this point lies in the profound impact the Exodus story has had on collective identities, inspiring themes of liberation, endurance, and faith. One notable example of the Exodus story's influence is its role in African American spirituality and cultural movements. During the era of slavery in the United States, the Exodus narrative provided a powerful metaphor for freedom and deliverance. Spirituals like Go Down Moses became anthems that resonated deeply with enslaved people and later continued to inspire movements for civil rights and social justice. Another example is the adaptation of the Exodus motif in literature, such as Leon Uris's novel Exodus, which reimagines the Jewish people's journey to the modern state of Israel. This demonstrates the enduring power of the Exodus narrative as a symbol of rebuilding and survival. Supporters of this idea argue that the Exodus story's adaptability and timeless relevance have allowed it to transcend its original context, becoming a universal symbol of hope and resistance. However, there are challenges and controversies surrounding this concept. Some scholars question the historicity of the Exodus event, suggesting it may not have occurred as described in religious texts. Others critique the use of the Exodus narrative as potentially oversimplifying or co-opting complex struggles for freedom by imposing a linear, redemptive framework. Despite these controversies, the Exodus narrative's influence is undeniably interconnected with other aspects of its story. It shapes theological discussions, political ideologies, and cultural expressions, reinforcing the foundational myth in diverse contexts. In unraveling the phenomena and cultural impact of the Exodus, understanding its narrative and literary influences provides key insights into how a story can transcend time and geography to become a touchstone of human aspiration and resilience. By examining these cultural narratives, we gain a deeper appreciation of the story's capacity to inspire and unify people across different beliefs and backgrounds, illustrating its place at the heart of human storytelling traditions.